So hi guys, you are welcome to Dssg Nation. So if this is your first time watching a video from Dssg Nation, do make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so we can notify you whenever I create any video. So today we are going to be talking about the layers of the arteries and the vein as well. So I'm going to be talking about those two structures and we are going to make a comparison between them, that is the differences between the artery and the vein. So stay tuned. So in our last class, we said the artery has 3 layers. So you have 1. So make it a little bigger here. And okay. Now we said the outermost layer here is called the Tunica adventitia. So here we said we are going to add stria, lines, and that line is denoting what? I'll tell you that later. So from here to here, now is the second layer, and that is the Tunica media. And lastly, we are going to add another stria here, which is denoting the cells. So you add your nucleus using your dots. So that is the innermost layer called the Tunica Intima. And now the space within this blood vessel, this artery, is called what? Lumen. Now, if you want to talk about all these layers, the Tunica adventitia, the Tunica media, and the Tunica intima, you are expected to talk about 4 things. So the first one is AKA. And what is the meaning of AKA? Also, K is known and the remaining A is as. So also known as. That is another name for that layer. So the second thing is the position of that layer. The position of what? Of that layer. And the third one is the tissue makeup. The tissue makeup. So which kind of tissue? So, and the fourth one is the function of that layer. Now, for the AKA, this Tunica adventitia is also called Tunica externa. Like it is the external layer. So in other words, they will add IX, Tunica externalis, not bad. So for this Tunica media, it is called Tunica muscularis. Tunica what? Tunica muscularis. But why? Because all these trias I'm talking about, it denotes muscle tissues. That's why they call it Tunica muscularis. And now, to the last one, the innermost layer, it's also called the Tunica Intima. Tunica Intima. Oh, sorry, Tunica Intima is the name, so you can also call it Tunica Interna. Sorry about that. So, Tunica Interna, because it is the innermost layer of the blood vessels. Now, let's come back here. Describing the Tunica adventitia, it is also called the what? The Tunica externa. And now the position, you just say it is the outermost layer of the blood vessel. And now the tissue makeup, it is made up of fibrous tissue. Fibrous tissue. So that is the makeup. And now what is the function? It prevents over-distension. It does what? It prevents over-distension of the blood vessel. That's its function. So if the blood vessel is filled with a lot of blood, too much of blood, don't you think it can distend and then burst? But this Tunica adventitia, it prevents that. It prevents the over-distension of the blood vessel. And now to the second layer, Tunica media. So AKA, it is also called Tunica muscularis. And now to the position, it is the middle layer of the what? Of the blood vessels. We realize that it is the middle one. So we have the first one, the last one, and then this one is around the middle. So it is called the Tunica muscularis. So and then the tissue makeup now, it is made up of what? Muscle tissue. So muscle tissue. And lastly, what is the function? The function is to control the diameter of the blood vessel. What is the meaning of that? There are some terms in anatomy and the rest such that are called vasoconstriction, and vasodilation. So you see this vaso behind those words. This vaso means blood vessel. Blood vessel. And this word constriction is from constrict. And constrict means to narrow. For something to narrow. So, and for this dilation means to expand. For something to what? To expand. So when you say vasoconstriction, it means blood vessel constricts, it narrows. And if you say vasodilation, it means blood vessel expands. Now let me give you a diagrammatical illustration. So if this is the normal size of a blood vessel, the normal size of a blood vessel, if it undergoes vasoconstriction, it will become like this. So it will become narrowed. So this is what? Vasoconstriction. But if it undergoes vasodilation, it will become like this. So this is vasodilation. So it is going to expand. Now, all this expansion and narrowing, the structure of the blood vessel that is responsible for doing that is the what? Is the tunica muscularis. So that is why they say it controls the what? The diameter of the what? Of the blood vessels. The expansion and narrowing of the blood vessel is occurring there. And that's exactly about the function. And now to the last layer, tunica intima. This tunica intima is also called what? AKA tunica internalis. So position, it is the innermost layer. And now the tissue makeup. You see that we have some cells here. So these cells, they are tissue and they form what? Endothelium. Endothelium. So what is the meaning of endo? Endo means inner. So it forms the inner lining of the what? Of the blood vessel. And then this thelium is denoting that it is a family of epithelium. So, and this endothelium is now also called what? The squamous epithelium. It is made up of the squamous epithelium. That is tissue makeup. And then you can call it the endothelium. No one will crucify you for calling it endothelium or squamous epithelium. So, and then what is the function? We talk about it later. It allows nutrients to pass into the tissues, but I want us to talk about that in the capillary bed. So let's leave that for now. So that is that about the what? About the layers of the what? Of the arteries. So on a quick recap level, the layers of the artery, we have the tunica adventitia, also called the tunica externa, and then that is AKA, right? So the next thing is the what? The position. It is the outermost layer of the what? Of the blood vessels, and then the second one, okay, that is for the position, and then the next one is what? The next one is the tissue makeup. So it is made up of what? The fibrous tissue, and last one is the function. So it is what? It prevents the overdistension of the blood vessels. And then now to what next? That is tunica media. So tunica media, I talk about what next? The AKA, also known as what? The tunica muscularis. And the second thing is what? The position. So it is the middle layer of the blood vessel, of the artery rather. And then the next one is what? Tissue makeup. So it is made up of what? The muscle tissue. And the function is to what? To control the diameter of the blood vessel, as in vasoconstriction and vasodilation. And now the last one is what? The tunica intima. So the tunica intima is the innermost layer, that is position. And then AKA is what? Tunica interna. And then the tissue makeup is what? Squamous endothelium. Squamous epithelium rather, or you call it endothelium straightforward. And that is that about the what? About the structure of the artery. Now let's go to the vein now. So I'll give you a few seconds to write this down and then I can it. Now, let's talk about the veins. Veins. So vein, they carry blood towards the what? Towards the heart. So simple definition, they are blood vessels that carry blood towards the heart, as simple as that. Now, we now have the types of vein too. Types of vein. So we have the superficial and the deep. So the superficial vein and the deep vein. So what are superficial vein and what are deep vein? As the name implies rather. So superficial is something you can feel and you can touch. So you want something you can see. So the superficial veins, they are veins that are what? That are visible and palpable. What's the meaning of that? Visible is that you can see them. I'm not one energetic person or with strong muscles, but if people really have strong muscles, we find their veins emanating from their hand like this. You can feel it, you can touch it. So they are what? They are visible. You can see them, and they are palpable. Palpable means you can touch them like this. You can feel them. So they are what? Superficial veins. So superficial veins are veins that are what? Visible and palpable. So example of the superficial vein is the radial vein. The radial vein. So that is that on what? On the superficial vein. Now to the deep veins. Deep veins, they are veins that are not what? They are not visible and they are not palpable. So you can't see them merely looking at someone like this, and you can't palpate them. So an example is inferior vena cava. Don't ask me what inferior vena cava is. We are going to be talking about it while discussing the art. So just forget about it now. Just know that they are not what? They are not visible or palpable. So those are the deep veins. And a quick recap: vein, they are blood vessels that carries blood towards the heart. And then they are what? They are of two types. So we have the superficial and the deep vein. So the superficial vein, they are visible and palpable, while the deep vein are not visible and they are not palpable. So example of the what? Of the superficial vein is the radial vein. And an example of the deep vein is the what? The inferior vena cava. And that is that about that. So let's talk about the structure of the veins now. Structure of the veins. Structure of the vein. Structure of the vein. So, without wasting our time, the structure of the vein is the same thing as the structure of the artery, but with just a difference. Now, what's the meaning of that? The vein too, it has innermost layer called the what? Tunica Intima. I said they are the same thing. So I'm expecting you to be telling me their name like that. So after that, you have another layer here. And lastly, you have the outermost layer. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I'll just clean it. So, like 1, 2, then 3. Now, this one is what? Tunica adventitia. And then the second one here is Tunica media. And the last one here so you put in your nucleus is what? Tunica Intima. So they have the same name, but you realize that we have differences. So I won't ask you what are the differences. I will draw the artery here and the vein here. Then we are going to analyze it. We talk about their differences. So let's say we are putting in the artery here. Artery, and then the vein right here. So the structure of the artery, watch out. Nucleus, 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 nucleus. So the middle layer. Amen. The outermost layer. So let's come in with the vein now. So the cell, squamous endothelium and epithelium rather. So the squamous cells, the flat cells. So your nucleus, and now the striations, the muscles. Now, you realize that we have differences between these two structures. So what are the differences? We already know that our outermost layer is what? The tunica adventitia. So here too, it is tunica adventitia. Tunica adventitia. So now, here is the tunica what? Tunica media. Now, here too is the what? Tunica media. But if you take a closer look, you realize that one is thicker than the other. So this now, from here to here, is the tunica media. But look at this, just from here to here. So artery has a thicker tunica media. But for the vein, the tunica media is less thick. So that's one. And now another difference is what? Look at this lumen and check out this lumen. This lumen is wider, but here it is not. It is narrow. So another difference is that artery has narrow lumen, while the vein has what? A wider lumen. Now the question now arises: why is it that the tunica media of the artery is thicker than that of the vein? Simple question. The reason is because these arteries, they receive blood with high pressure. They receive blood with what? High pressure. So they are going to need more muscle to receive it. But this one, the veins, they receive blood with what? With low pressure. So they don't necessarily need a lot of muscles within them. So, and that means what? 4 differences between artery and vein. The first one is that artery carries blood away from the heart. Vein carries blood towards the heart. That is one. Another thing is what? Artery has thicker tunica media, while vein tunica's media is less thick. Making what? Making 2. Now, the narrow is what? The artery, it has a narrow lumen, but for the vein it has a thicker lumen, making 3. And now the first one is that what? Artery receive blood with high pressure, while vein receive blood with what? Low pressure. So the fifth one that I'll be giving us is that this vein, they carry blood back to the heart. Now imagine, blood is coming down from the lower part of my body and it is coming into this place. So it will not be easy for it just to flow against gravity. So it possesses some kind of valves. So and those valves, they prevent the backflow of blood. So they help the blood vessel to carry blood against gravity. So therefore, they possess what? They possess valve. But arteries possesses no valve. So it possesses no valve. That is, they don't have valve. Although we have an artery that has a valve, we are going to talk about it later. So that is that about the differences between artery and vein. So in our next class, we are going to talk about the capillary bed. I know you are stressed out, but I am also stressed out as well. So you can say I'm sweating. So let's meet in our next video. So do make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so that you can be notified whenever we create the next video. Hi guys.